Welcome back to Network Africa. Now, Egypt continues to play the waiting game as regards the approval of a $12 billion loan, which is yet to be approved by the Executive Committee of the International Monetary Fund, that's the IMF. However, signatories made up of 5 political parties, 4 NGOs, and tens of union leaders and public figures have got even more signatories than they had yesterday as regards their petition calling on President al-Sisi not to take the IMF deal due to the reforms attached to it. Nigeria is also facing tough economic times, but the president of Dangote Group, that's Alhaji Aliko Dangote, has advised business owners and startups to deploy technological innovations in addressing the economic challenges bedeviling the country. He noted that Nigerians might be overwhelmed by many challenges faced by blue chip companies and business people across the country, but that they can definitely be maximized. Joining us now in studio is our Channels TV Business News editor, Bosun Omofaye. Bosun, thank you so much for joining us.
Good afternoon.
Well, we're going to continue to make this a weekly, and let's begin with Egypt. Yes. Now, Egypt is this close to securing that IMF loan as long as it gets approved by the Executive Committee, but we do need to take what the group, the signatories are saying about probably shying away from it because of the reforms attached to it. My question is, are loans the way forward when countries come across economic challenges?
No, you can't run away from development aid in whatever forms, whether it is World Bank, whether it is IMF. Some folks, some pressure groups within countries feel more comfortable with the World Bank rather than the IMF, because they believe that the IMF seems to be like the poison chalice, whereas the World Bank seems to be a little bit better, again, because the World Bank has that perhaps the private sector part of it, which is the International Finance Corporation, which can help your private sector grow, and you can do bonds, and you can do a few other development finance. But as far as the IMF is concerned, IMF is seen as the gate man to the liquidator. So, and this is not really new. Remember, in the 80s, Nigeria went through a similar experience. We wanted to take an IMF loan. There were brickbats about whether we should take it or not. We have other military administration that we eventually didn't take the IMF loan. So you need IMF loan. Currently, Ghana is going through a similar experience of taking an IMF loan. A few other African countries are also negotiating similar loans.
But you're talking about World Bank being the better option. So why don't why don't countries lean more towards that as opposed to the IMF loan, if you call it the poison chalice?
Well, the little bit difference between the IMF and the World Bank, International Monetary Fund, is just different. World Bank begins to help you across sectors to put in money to help your agriculture sector, to help you in the areas of energy, development, finance. In Nigeria, for example, you find World Bank responsible to a large extent with dozens of dams that we build. Some of them we use for hydro energy, Kanji Dam, the rest of them across the country. So World Bank is seen more as a development finance institution. The IMF is seen more as the guy who gives you the last lease of life and was ready to take your life as well if need be. So to that extent, the IMF is, in many countries in this part of the world, not a very good history between the IMF and many African states. So to that extent, folks will rather lean towards, many African states will lean towards the World Bank other than the IMF.
So let's bring it back to home now. What Alhaji Dangote has to say about turning the challenges we're currently experiencing into opportunities. What did you think about what he had to say?
Well, if the richest man in Africa says, look at opportunities, I'll jump out of a 50-story building with Aliko Dangote. If he has a suitcase in his hands, I'm not going to ask him where he's going. That's the common saying in Switzerland anyway. If you see a Swiss banker flying out of a 30-story building with his suitcase and his portfolio in his hand, don't ask him where he's going after. Just go after him. There must be money down there somewhere. So I'll run with him, because this is the man who's been able to turn the situation of the country around and it become one of Africa's foremost industrialists.
Now to the main question. You agree with what he had to say. How do we go about it?
How do you go about it is to take a bit of sentiments out of where you are or where we are and begin to see opportunities. Sometimes it's difficult, however, to see opportunities where you have so many muddy waters around you. It's very difficult to see the diamond in the trough, as they
So
put
can
it.
you help us to understand better how to see the diamond?
Again, you look at what you have. If you look at Lagos, for example, and Lagos cities across Nigeria, you find a lot of solid waste that needs to be cleared.
Okay.
There are areas in which you can put some innovations, and a number of Africans are beginning to go into startups that are being helped across board in the telecommunications, in the agri sector, in retail business, in artisanship and things like that, making local products, agri, the value chain, whether they are cashew or whatever. People are running into new enterprises that are beginning to help those at the bottom of the pyramid and those who are getting towards the middle class level. Entrepreneurship in general, that will always help. As long as you begin to see that for every problem there is an opportunity lying in there, you will always be able to make it. And that is where Aliko is talking about. And if you remember, he said, look, give me additional $5 billion, I will invest it in Nigeria. He's not talking about taking it out because he believes that, look, the mass is here, the market is here, the consumption is here, the hunger is here, the appetite is really here, the youth is here, the adult is here. You have so much you haven't really tasted in this country. There's so much to be grown locally that will help you make not just money, but also make impact at all levels. And that is what Aliko, I guess that was what Aliko Dangote was talking about.
Well, thank you, Boss Noafaye, Channels TV Business News Editor, joining us on Network Africa. Now, on a more positive note, a festival in Lagos has been celebrating the culture, heritage and influence of Nigeria's Indian community. India and Nigeria have a long history and more recently have sought to strengthen economic collaboration in trade and investment. The event attracted hundreds of people looking to sample Indian products and culture.
The festival, which is the first of its kind in the country, kicked off on Saturday with cultural shows performing along city streets in a procession that included a chariot parade leading to the main city square. Established in 2001, Kerala Sanjam Nigeria is a group that wants to promote India through social events like concerts and festivals meant to bring the community together as well as showcase what India has to offer Nigeria. The group also engages in charity activities in the country.
I'm living since 1999 in Nigeria. We feel very proud in living in Nigeria, and in this program also we feel very good. We are very happy.
For about $3 guests were able to access exhibition stands, Indian cuisine and an evening concert.
India is presently the fastest growing economy in the world. As well as that, India is also the second largest SME network in the world. So I think that there is a lot of opportunity there for us to share and have mutual benefits by partnering with each other on a cultural level, diplomatic level, and of course on a commercial level.
India and Africa are home to 7 in 10 of the world's poor, but are among the fastest growing economies. India is pushing for partnerships with the continent to help boost investment and trade. The country is among the biggest manufacturers of textiles and apparels in the world, supplying leading international brands with fabric.
It's been awesome. I've been getting great response in Nigeria. Nigerians are passionate people. They love everything vibrant. So for us Indians, this is a very welcoming country. Response has been great. We are enjoying ourselves tremendously. That's why I have been here and I'm here to stay.
Many people like to imitate Indians because of their jewelries, because of the way they dress. They love being look like them also. That is why I went there to get some material from Indian wares so that I'll be using it for my work.
Visitors were treated to a display of traditional and contemporary Indian dance in the evening, as well as performances by local artists. Organizers plan to hold similar events annually and provide a platform for people from both countries to learn more about each other's cultural heritage and exchange ideas.
Still to come on Network Africa, efforts by South Africa's 2 main opposition parties to form a coalition fails.